first time in a long time that you all have had film of yourselves against an opponent to review. How would you assess the last 36 hours or so of this program's development? I guess really going back into Sunday, and what are you taking forward from what you guys experienced together on Saturday evening?
The main thing we're taking forward is we just need to get better as a team. We need to use every practice day we have this week, starting with today, to correct those mistakes we made on Saturday and be better this weekend.
Next to Rich Scarcella.
Mike, besides the mistakes on Saturday, the turnovers and the penalties, I know that's a lot, but how do you think the offense did with Coach Shiraka's first game?
I think we did all right, but like I said, there's mistakes that we made that we have to get corrected, and just things that we need to work on this week for the next 4 days coming into this weekend.
Tyler, we'll come back to you for a follow-up question.
Yeah, there seemed to be less platooning early in the season than what we've seen the last couple of years. You were the guy at left guard. We saw some movement at right guard, but other than the six-man packages, there wasn't a ton of movement. Do you think that's a sign of things settling together during the offseason with Coach Stratwine, or should we maybe expect maybe a little bit more movement in the future?
To be honest, I don't really know what you should expect. We're going to take everything one day at a time. I don't have a good week of practice, then maybe things will change this weekend. I'm not going to really speak on it. I just have to focus on what I need to do to prepare for this week.
Nubyjas, let's go for a question.
I know it may be somewhat difficult to answer because it's about a defensive guy, but how tough is it in the game to lose a Jesse Lakita and then to start the first half of a game without having his presence from the defensive side?
It's obviously tough to lose someone like that in the middle of a game, but the next guy up has to be ready. That has to be our mindset. We can't really expect to take any hits and play worse. We have to expect that whoever's going to come in is going to uphold the same standard, and kind of goes the same this week. We're prepared to not have him for the first half, and it just comes down to us preparing the correct way.
Thank you for that answer, Mike. Let's go next to Dan Hope.
Hi, Mike. What are the things that jump out to you when you're watching Ohio State's defensive front?
They're a well-coached team. They play with good technique, good fundamentals. They're a deep unit like they always are. But like I've been saying, at the end of the day, it's going to come down to us and how we prepare.
Apologize, I don't have a first name. Mr. or Miss Hall?
Hang on, I'm on.
Lost you.
For the moment, let's go back to Tyler with a follow-up.
Okay. I missed my turn there.
That's all right. We'll get you right back. Let's go to Tyler real quick first.
Okay. Mike, if you guys are without Noah this week, and it's just been a lot of movement on the running back front the last preseason into now with Journey and Noah, and you got two running backs that you haven't worked with really at all in games until Saturday. Does that create any kind of new dynamics and challenges as an offensive line, just getting to know running styles, or does that not factor in for you guys? And what are your thoughts in general on this running back group? Because it looks like we're going to be seeing some of the new fellas quite a bit early on.
Just goes back to what I've been saying. Whoever we're going to have available on the field for Saturday, they have to be ready. They have to treat this week the right way, and they have to prepare. So if they're going to be playing a lot and be playing in important roles for us. So once again, it all comes back to how we handle this week, how we handle today, most importantly.
Mike, thank you for that reflection there. Mr. Hall, let's come to you.
Thank you. Mike, Clay Hall back in Columbus, Ohio. Antonio didn't want to say this was a rivalry, but how do you regard this game? Because just two great programs, when we have a normal setup, it's tremendous crowds, the whiteout, et cetera, et cetera. But as you as an Ohio guy, how do you look at it?
it's the game on our schedule this week, so it's the most important game on our schedule right now. That's it.
Mike, thanks for that. Mark, Brennan, let's come to you.
Mike, Antonio also talked about Hakeem Beamon. What can you tell us about him? We haven't seen a lot of him, but I'm sure you have seen an awful lot of him.
He's a very gifted guy. I think me personally, he does present a lot of problems and challenges. He's a very tough guy to go against, and I think especially looking at him this camp as opposed to last year, his growth has been incredible over the last year, and I think he's going to be a monster.
Tyler, let's come back to you.
Like you know Sean Clifford quite well, coming in together years ago. This first game, I know expectations were high from a lot of us on the outside with Kirk Shiraka. Did not go according to plan in the first half with a couple of bad turnovers. And what would you say about Sean's performance and basically how he finished the game on a high note? Does his demeanor change in the huddle? Did you get a sense of urgency in that second half? And do you think that he is at his best when he's creating with his legs? Because that seemed to be what James Franklin indicated.
I think his mindset is kind of always the same. He wants to win whoever we're going against, no matter what the situation is. I know that I'm going to get Sean's best. And I can't really speak on how he makes plays because I'm more worried about what I'm doing to help him make those plays, I guess. So I'm not going to speak on his ability as a playmaker because I know that he can do it in a lot of different ways. I'm not going to just single in on one dimension with him.
Mike, thank you for that. Mark, Brennan, let's come back to you for a follow-up question. Sorry about that.
I think we unmuted each other somehow there, Rose. I'm sorry about that.
No worries.
Mike, you obviously had worked with Coach Trout for an awful long time, throughout the off season, but it's obviously different in a game situation. What did you learn about Coach Trout in that first game with him?
I don't really know what to say to that. It's been more of what we've done together on the practice field every day for the past 2 months is what I've been learning from him. I can't say there was like an extra dimension to him that he brought on game days. He gives us everything he has Tuesday through Saturday every week anyway. So I wouldn't say I saw something different or I saw a different version of him. He gives us his all every time we're out on the field. That's throughout the week too.
Mike, thank you for that answer. Nate Bauer, let's go to you for your next question, and then we'll come back to Tyler.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How tightly are practices officiated for you guys?
I'd say there's certain aspects that, the officials at practice will talk to us about a little bit more than maybe at a game, just to make sure that, we're prepared for what we're going to see and what we're going to get from officials on game day. One of it with the offensive line that I could speak on is always like our alignment, making sure we're up on the ball. We get a lot of that in practice as opposed to how often we'll get it in a game, just to make sure that, we're not going to have any silly penalties on the offensive line from just an alignment standpoint on Saturday. So.
Go back to Tyler for a follow-up question.
Mike, something we saw early on Saturday was the six-man offensive front. Wasn't used a lot, but it was used, and Caden coming in and playing a bit. Is that something, obviously, as an offensive line unit, you love to have, get another guy on the field, push people around? And what do you think Caden has done this offseason to warrant, more attention, more of an opportunity on the field on game days?
I guess an overload kind of look for an offensive lineman can get us going a little bit, but I want to score touchdowns no matter what personnel we're in, no matter what formation we have on the field. I want to score a touchdown. But Caden, he's been working really hard. He's been working a lot with Trout, getting in his playbook. He's been really committing to the process, buying into it, and I think that's helped him earn these opportunities. He's getting on the field.
Mike, thanks for that comment on your teammate. Let's go next to nubyjas.
When you go back and you do look at last week's game, I know you got to move forward, but as you watch that film, what did you take from it that you guys did well overall that you can expand upon going into Ohio State?
I don't really want to speak on too many specifics, but I think we played well as a unit. We played well together. We never really strayed apart from each other. We stuck together that whole game. We fought the whole game. But there's just some mistakes that we made throughout the game that we need to learn from for this week.
Peter Terpstra, let's come over to you for.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
Okay, this is kind of just a random question. Do you still eat a bag of Starburst before every game?
Yes, I don't eat an entire bag. I bring a bag with me, and I just eat a couple in and out of the locker room as we're warming up. But yeah, it's something I've always done. It's something I'm always going to do.
Can you just? I know you've explained this before. When did that start, and why?
Started my junior year, I think my sophomore year of high school. I don't know why. I love Starburst, and I think I just had a bag in my book bag on the way to a game, and I had like a few in the locker room before I played well, and I just kept doing it. There's no real explanation to it, I don't think.
Love it, Mike. Thanks for that. Parth, let's come over to you for a question.
Hey, Mike, what's going on? Hope you're doing well. Appreciate the time. Obviously, despite the loss, the D-line obviously had a great game, especially Shaka Tony and Jason Owe. From your perspective, how difficult is it to kind of go against those guys in practice every day?
They could be a problem. They're very disruptive. They're very good with their hands, and I'm sure you guys can see that they're really, really quick around the edge. So, I mean, it's been tough going against those guys in practice. They come out and work really hard in practice every single day, and you guys can see the results on the field.
Currently, we don't have any other questions in the queue. Let's give this another couple of minutes if anyone else has any other questions, but then we'll let Mike continue with his day. Does anyone else have any questions for Mike? Tyler, let's come back to you.
Mike, your offensive line group, every starter has experience against Ohio State, has experience in difficult matchups, in primetime matchups in the Big Ten stage. How does that prepare you a bit more compared to, say, years past where Penn State was working with new starters here and there? Does that give you some kind of advantage to kind of maybe just get rid of any kind of butterflies or big game, I don't know, anxiety just because you've all been there before collectively as a unit?
I think the butterflies, the anxiety before the game, I think that comes with your preparation for the game. I don't really worry about who's played against these guys before, who hasn't, who's making their first start, all this, mostly because I know that the success is going to come throughout the week. The success is going to come today in a few hours when we have our first practice of the week. Success is going to come tomorrow and Thursday with the work and effort they're putting in to the week in our preparation for this game.
Great answer, Mike. Let's go back over to Parth for a follow-up question.
Yeah, Mike, I'm not sure if you answered this already, so my bad if you did, but you personally, what will you miss most about having a traditional whiteout and not having that this Saturday?
I mean, it's always great to have our fans in the stadium. It's definitely going to be a strange experience to play a game without them. I haven't really experienced it yet in our stadium. I know it was odd at Indiana, and it's probably going to be even weirder coming back home and not having fans to play in front of. But at the end of the day, it's not going to stop how we come into the game, what our mindset's going to be, and what we want to do.
Mike, thanks for that candid answer. Nate Bauer, let's come to you for a follow-up question.
Mike, just generally speaking, if noise isn't a factor, why do false starts happen on the offensive line?
I mean, I guess that's a really good question. I can't really speak on any that we might have had this weekend. Might just be a timing thing, trying to hit the quarterback's cadence and get off the ball as fast as you can. As an offensive lineman, that's one of your biggest advantages, knowing the snap count. So could be being a little bit too aggressive, I guess.